I remember my economics teacher in high school saying to me, "You will have your own business one day," and I didn't know what that would be or when, but here we are.
Welcome to A Cup of Tea with Bree, where I get to know some of North Queensland's most amazing parents, incredible business people and inspiring characters. Now, today's guest has been in the media industry for over 25 years as a broadcaster and video journalist with the ABC. She's a talented storyteller and an engaging presenter who makes media training fun with lasting positive results. So please welcome Kirsty Nancaro. How are you?
I'm well, thank you, Bree. Thanks for having me.
Great to have you on the couch with me today. So I want to start with you telling me about, your childhood, where were you born, how many siblings have you got?
I grew up in Sydney. I was born in Parramatta in Western Sydney and spent until my early adulthood there. And I'm an only child.
Nice. Got all the attention.
I did get all the attention. I do have three step siblings, but very much grew up as an only child.
Awesome. And what about your parents? They were born Sydney based as well?
My mum was born in England, in Yorkshire. So she immigrated when she was, I think, 9 years old.
Okay.
And so no longer has an accent. And my dad was an Aussie bloke from the bush. So they actually met at the Parramatta RSL where they were working together. And yeah.
Rest is history.
Rest is history.
So what was life like growing up in Parramatta, Sydney?
So we were a little bit further west than that. Blacktown is where I went to school, and it was a pretty good childhood. Lots of activities and always amusing myself and bringing lots of friends around, as you do when you're an only child. Lots of family holidays. Our big highlight of the year was always going to Cronulla Beach for our family holiday, which was only an hour from home. Obviously still in Sydney, but it was a big deal when you're out in the suburbs.
Yeah, definitely. And you didn't really need to go too far. It's so beautiful, Cronulla Beach.
It is. I bet it's changed quite a bit since I was going to family holidays there.
So what did you want to be when you grew up? Because obviously you've been in the media industry for 25 years. That's a long stint.
Yes. I know this is fairly unusual, but I knew what I wanted to do when I was 9. So my grandfather, who was my last surviving grandparent, died when I was 10. But we really formed this strong bond, and it was through writing. So even as a young child, we would write letters to each other. I would write poetry, he would write poetry, and had this beautiful bond. And when I was 9, he said something about reminding him of Jana Wendt, who was a presenter of Current Affair and 60 Minutes, and very well respected female journalist. And I kind of fixated from that point on being a journalist. I thought, well, I love writing, I love telling stories, and got the ultimate endorsement from my grandfather, who is my greatest inspiration. So really, that was when I decided to be a journalist.
That's so awesome. He would be so proud of you today.
Yeah, yes. I am. A bit of a goosebump moment there. I did actually try and reconnect with him earlier in the year and managed to have a bit of a conversation. So that was quite a lovely thing after so many years, and he assured me that I'm on the right track, which is lovely to hear.
That's so beautiful. What an extraordinary experience. So tell me then, what has been your most proudest professional achievement?
So obviously I've had a long career in journalism with the ABC, and I have won awards for my journalism and for my camera work, but I really think that my proudest professional moment has come this year. We started a motion video training and production, our own business, my business with Susie Cray, in 2019, at the end of 2019, and I had my own media training business prior to that, but we actually threw all of our cards in at the beginning of 2022 and said, right, this is our full-time job, we're all in, and we became a company in July 2022. So doing that and then being recognised with being finalist with the Business Excellence Awards was really a huge professional achievement, and something that I'm very proud of.
I bet. Congratulations, that's awesome.
Thank you.
So what about your proudest personal achievement? Sorry.
I would say that writing my first book Himalayan Dreams, the story of Som Tamang, is my best personal achievement for many reasons. It's my first book. It's an amazing story about an amazing person who was a child slave in Nepal, who has dedicated his whole life to ensuring particularly young women have access to education and employment in his community in Batasi. So it was a joy to write. Used to these really quick deadlines being a journalist, and this stretched on for over a year of writing. So I had to be quite disciplined and learn a different way of writing and a different way of structuring my time. And also to be able to write the book, I had to spend time in his village. So I spent a month volunteering in 2016 and came home from that experience saying, I really want to write your story. And then returned in 2018. And in order to spend time with Som, because he's very hard to pin down, I had to go on a Everest Base Camp trek.
Oh, wow.
So I returned in 2018 to interview all of his family and some of the women he'd helped, and actually spend time going to Everest Base Camp. So I really got a sense of the Himalayas and the people and the experiences of people who are in the book. So for me, that's been a huge personal achievement.
Wow, what an incredible experience.
Yes, and I can't wait to get back to Nepal.
So are you, did you get to base camp? Are you going to go further?
No, I don't really have a desire to summit Everest. All power to those who do. It was hard enough getting to base camp.
Yep.
The air is very thin and you're very exhausted by the time you get there.
Well
and
done.
It does change your personality a little bit, which they warn you about. And most people do get sick either from altitude or just
That's
developing
just a base camp.
cold from the but it was very good research for the book.
I love that.
I don't regret it at all.
Yeah, it sounds incredible. What an amazing story and journey. Now, tell me then something that most people don't know about you.
So I have my journalism hat and my media training, video training hat on a lot of the time, but something else people don't know is that I am a salsa dance teacher.
Oh,
and actually
wow.
that was my very first business. I started Strictly Salsa Alice Springs
Yep.
in 2004. I did a couple of years in London and I came back from there, and salsa was huge in the UK then, and I really got into the scene. And then when I came back to Alice Springs, which is where I met my husband, everyone sort of said, hey, you know salsa, you know dancing, can you please start a class? So that's how I started my first business.
That's awesome.
And it's the longest running so far. So I do private lessons these days and help out with friends' birthdays and special occasions. So
That's
I
awesome.
get a lot of joy out of teaching dance. I've always loved dancing myself, and it's a really good complement to my other side, which is quite brain heavy.
Yes.
Just that freedom of moving your body and connecting with people and just losing yourself in the music. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, that's awesome. What a great, you need that creative outlet, I think, sometimes when you are so brain-based. So,
Yes.
yeah, there we go. What about the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
I would say personally that it's what is meant for you will find you. I spent a lot of time towards the end of my ABC career with my fingers in my ears going, no, this is everything that you've worked for. Keep going, keep going, keep going, even though I knew it was traumatizing me. I did end up with PTSD and depression, and I was trying to shut out all of the signs from the universe that this wasn't good for me. And I remember my economics teacher in high school saying to me, you will have your own business one day. And I didn't know what that would be or when, but here we are. And I honestly believe, and I see it every day with people, if you kind of let the universe in, whatever you are meant to be doing will ultimately be what you're doing. So I finally feel like I have taken all of the best parts of my career and the skills and the storytelling that I love and the mentoring of people that I absolutely love, and have now brought that into a business.
That's so awesome. Good on you.
And professionally, I think I received this advice recently and very well timed to slow down in order to speed up.
Yes.
I've always been a multitasker, and sometimes that's not the most efficient way of getting the job done. And you get a bit frantic, and
Yeah.
you have all these balls in the air. And really solid advice to do one thing well, concentrate on it, get in the flow, and then so much more gets done.
Yes, I would totally agree with that. Now, if you could have dinner with 3 people, whether past or present, who would they be and why?
I'm glad you included past, because I have always been a huge fan of Audrey Hepburn.
Nice.
I think she's a wonderfully humble person. I admire the humanitarian work that she got involved with. I've always been involved in humanitarian work and fundraising and giving back to community, as you have. And I really, I would love to sit down with her and just listen to her. She's a very calm person, and I think she'd be a beautiful person to have around the table. Second person would be Billy Connolly.
Okay.
Possibly a random choice, but my husband and I both have an extreme fondness for him and love his stories, and I would just love to sit around the table and listen to his stories. We actually got married in Glasgow because of Billy Connolly.
Wow.
We were hoping that by chance he would be able to be a witness at our wedding. We did write to him, and he wrote back with his best wishes. He was not in Scotland at the time, but yes, we're both big fans. And thirdly, closer to home, my stepson Leon. He's 25 now, and he lives in Perth, and mostly due to the pandemic and work commitments on both sides, we only see each other about once a year, and that's really hard when you let your babies go, and it's wonderful to see him thrive and prosper on the other side of the country, but we got on very well. We have great conversations, and I'd love to be having them face to face with him.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, thank you so much for having a cup of tea with me today. It's been really nice to hear your story, and you've got so many amazing things that you've done in your life, and you give so much, so thank you so much for sharing with us today.
Thank you for having me, Brie.
And don't forget, if you want to see our other episodes, make sure you subscribe to our channel, hit the notification bell so you never miss another episode of A Cup of Tea with Brie, and we'll see you next time.